Welcome to Ask the Expert North Texas here on News Radio 1080 KRLD. I'm David Rankin.
And I'm Kristen Diaz. We have Dr. Hiran Patel. He's the Chief Medical Officer at United Healthcare in Texas and Oklahoma here on the KRLD Afternoon News. Thanks so much for the time today.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, so everyone's been having solar eclipse fever. It's all anyone can talk about, and it's happening on April 8th, which will be here before you know it. And one of the things that we've been talking about is really urging people to not look at the sun directly when the eclipse happens. And so, Dr. Patel, we wanted to speak with you today about some safe tips for viewing options here in North Texas. We are going to have an influx of people visiting specifically for this event. People are starting to get these special glasses. Can you just tell us a little bit about what are the best viewing practices?
Well, we know it's unsafe to look directly at the sun at any time during a partial or total solar eclipse, other than if you are in a path of totality during the brief total phase. So proper eclipse glasses which are heavily tinted and much more so than regular sunglasses are a must. So use the certified glasses, especially the ones that have been reviewed by ISO, which is a global standard. ISO stands for International Organization for Standardization. So it's a global standard for trusted goods and services, and look out for the fake viewers. So you want to buy the glasses which are specifically meant for the eclipse. And there are a list of vendors that sells certified solar eclipse glasses are available here. And make sure to read and follow the instructions on the package and the printed on the glasses. So that's one of the first step, get protected, avoid fakes. I would also suggest that don't add any other devices. So even while you're wearing the approved solar eclipse glasses, it's important not to look at the sun through binoculars or cameras or any other optical device. Doing so may concentrate the solar rays, and it may damage your eyes further, entering the eyes, and it can cause serious injuries. The third thing I would say that take caution during the moment of totality. What that means is if you are planning to watch the eclipse from 13 states, from Texas to Maine, eclipse glasses should be worn during pretty much the entire partial phase of eclipse and may also be removed once the moon completely blocks the sun. But then once the sun reappears, you should wear the glasses again. And most important thing, if you're considering comprehensive eye exam, do not forget to see your specialist, especially for the eye exams, because sometimes you can find other issues that can affect the eyes, like diabetes, heart conditions, or cancers. So it's important to check with the specialist. Some of the symptoms I suggest is blurred vision is the most common one. Sometimes you get the pain in your eyes. Sometimes you get the vision loss.
It's interesting how we have to tell people to not look into the sun for solar eclipse when normally we wouldn't be looking into the sun on a day like today, for example. It seems counterintuitive that we would have to actually warn people to not look at the sun.
Well, again, it's not something, it's a rare thing to get a solar eclipse, and we are lucky that we are getting it in our area, especially in Texas. We are in that path, so we can have a great viewing experience. So while it's fun, it's also important that we take precautions. So tell our loved ones, tell our children, make sure that there are appropriate eye protection and they have those gears. So not only it's fun, but also it's an educational opportunity at the same time.
So what about, what happens instantly when you look up at the eclipse? Maybe you don't time it correctly. I've been told you can't take off your glasses once it's totally eclipsed to see that, but then you have to put them right back on once the eclipse starts to move. Question about what really happens to your eyes? What are the type of damage that you can have?
Well, like I said, you can get the strain. So simple symptoms like blurred vision, which can extend, and it can, progress past the initial symptoms, and it can take you to even further vision loss. And you don't want to get that far. And sometimes the symptoms are reversible, but there are cases out there that solar eclipse lead to complete blindness. It's called eclipse blindness.
Does that happen to people whenever there is a solar eclipse? Because they don't happen that often. However, they do happen. Is it something that eye doctors will see cases of?
Yes, this is a rare event, so you don't see this every day, but especially after the event like this, and this is happening at night. And what happens is you don't really have an eye doctor's office is open that time. So having a purchasing the glasses and you having a nice viewing experience, not only will not have to worry about going to the eye doctors at the middle of the night, or because their offices are usually closed, and in emergency rooms usually don't have, very few ERs in our area will have the eye doctors present at night. So it's good to have a protection up front. It's good to take care of your eyes, and prevention is better than cure sometimes, and it applies here.
I've heard of something called a sunburn to your eyeballs. Is that something that's a real thing?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of different slang, but at the end of the day, you see the damage in the eye. So the outside layer of the eye, when it get damaged, I mean, you can always label that as sunburn. But the symptoms, there's a small area in the middle of the eye called pupil. That's where the rays are going through and focusing on retina, and that's create the image. What happens when you seeing these rays that are coming straight through your eyes and very intense, it can damage the entry point, which is your cornea in your eye, and that could give you the blurred vision and vision loss. Eventually depends on the extent of damage.
You talked about the fact that there are specific eyeglasses that you can wear, and some people will still have them from the partial eclipse we had just a few months ago. How are you able to tell which are real and which are the knockoffs?
Again, it's the package. So actual package, when you purchase the glass, you want to read if they are certified by ISO, International Organization for Standardization. So that company, it's a global standard for trusted goods and services. So they decide the quality and if the glasses are fake. I mean, you take the regular sunglasses and try to use them, they won't have enough tinting and protection you need to prevent the eye damage. And that's why it's important to read the instructions and labeling when you're buying the appropriate eclipse glasses.
There,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. There are other ways to view a solar eclipse as well, and they're kind of old school that don't involve you actually looking into the sun. You actually can build device in order to watch it. Just it's kind of like a reverse telescope thing.
Well, I don't want to go in details there. I mean, we have seen people are watching it through the water. People are watching it through different areas. But if you don't have eyeglasses and if you start focusing on actual eclipse, especially in the partial phase, where you have a lot of rays still coming through, so you want to be careful, even with using different homemade devices, because they're again not certified. You don't know, like if you, I mean, you can still get risk of eye damage.
Absolutely. That is Dr. Hiran Patel here on the KRLD Afternoon News with United Healthcare in Texas and Oklahoma. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me once again.